And again, what we're trying to do is to make this safer, and I think really make it kind of a uniform thing. To cross the street or run out to a car. I've introduced legislation, which I know my colleague in the Assembly, Steve Hawley, is co-sponsoring and is very supportive of. And it's an issue we've talked about probably since I've been elected, and I'm certain even before that in Steve's career, which is the speed limit, specifically here in Kendall, 50 miles an hour. Now, most folks across New York State and even across my district, when they think of school zones, they think of 25 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour. They think of reduced speeds, and the idea is you have kids crossing, you have young drivers coming out onto the road, you have school buses, parents picking up their kids, you have a lot of issues going on there, and you want those speeds lowered to prevent any kind of accidents or what have you. Nobody would suggest that 50 miles an hour would seem like a proper school zone speed. I don't, and I think the average person probably isn't even aware that you would have a school zone where you have those kinds of speeds. This is an issue to me. It's another highlight of a contrast between rural communities and challenges they have versus urban communities or suburban communities. Most of your urban school districts, those are city roads. They have the ability to lower those speed limits to 25 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour. Same with suburban communities. It's in rural communities where we have high rates of speed, and the real distinction here is it's a state road. So DOT is currently, under state law, the only entity that can lower the speed limit. And despite numerous requests from me on various roads that the state owns, including this one, from Steve Hawley, DOT is usually very loath to lower the speed limit. And I'm not here to knock DOT. There's fine men and women who work over there who do a lot of great work all across the state and across Western New York. I have two regions, Regions 4 and Region 5. But they are generally loath to lower the speed limits. And some of that might just be because of a lack of familiarity, or they have so many areas they cover, which is why my bill, and the bill that Steve Hawley is co-sponsoring in the Assembly, would share the authority with DOT and the counties. So in this case, Orleans County would also have the authority to either A, lower the speed limit to it could be no less than 15 miles an hour, or they could delegate the authority to lower the speed limit to the town, in this case the town of Kendall. And I think that would allow for local input, local control, because who knows this road and the perils and the safety issues better than the people who live here, the parents who take their kids to school here, the teachers, and the legislators who represent them.
I've been on this legislation for 10 years. We have 13 sponsors in the New York State Assembly, both Republican and Democrat, both upstate and downstate, who support this legislation, because after all it does is give locals the ability to control their own lives in their own school area for the safety of their citizens, for the safety of the parents, grandparents, and for the safety of the children in the school district. It doesn't take anything away from anyone. It allows those of us that live here to manage ourselves, and that's a very, very important thing for Senator Ortt and myself.
I brought some props. 858 letters from the community supporting what these gentlemen are trying to do for us in legislative action. I'm going back a few decades. We've lost some lives here in the school zone. I was a chairman of the planning board in Kendall that launched the first study. It was reduced from 55 to 50 miles per hour. And we've been living with that for some time and have tried a number of attempts to revisit this issue. Finally, we have some leadership, the Assemblyman Hawley and Senator Ortt, to step up to try to drive their colleagues in Albany to help us with this particular situation.